Captains of Industry, brought to you by Airtel.
What started off as an idea that seemed like a gimmick, I must imagine, is now the most profitable business model. It's a short-term insurer that offers a cash reward for premiums not claimed within a time frame. As you know, everybody loves a bit of money, and so OUTsurance was onto a winning formula. It's the brainchild of 3 entrepreneurs, and today is one of the most recognizable financial brands in South Africa, and they've recently moved into Australia. In 2009, the 2 CEOs were awarded the Ernst Young World Entrepreneur title in the South African chapter. Willem Roos is the CEO and joint MD of OUTsurance, and he's our captain of industry tonight. As I said, recent expansion into Australia, and some say, you know, it's been a bit hard for you to have a slight dent on your headline earnings. But what I want to know is, of all countries, Australia?
It's a very good question. We obviously did proper research when we decided to expand our business abroad, and fundamentally we thought expanding abroad is a good idea for us. We know how to run a good short-term insurance. We wanted to take the same business to other countries, and we investigated Brazil, India and Australia. Australia was really the only English-speaking territory we felt we could have build a viable business and with manageable amounts of capital.
Well, what does that mean? Because if you're going to India, you're talking at the very least 300 million people who are the middle class. Brazil is also a question of numbers.
Exactly. And I think those countries are immensely exciting. At the time when we considered expansion, the regulatory environment in India simply did not allow foreign insurance players. For example, ownership was limited to 26%. Motor insurance was tariffed. That means the government sets the premium rates, which is one of our competitive advantages. So India we had to cross out, although that's changing pretty fast, and I think within the next year or two the dynamics there would be different. Brazil seemed very enticing, but eventually we decided Australia is the way to go. We sent a very good team of people there, and our business there is called UE. We have over 200,000 clients there, and although we're certainly not profitable yet, all the numbers are trending in the right direction. So we satisfied with our expansion.
Okay, excuse me for what I'm about to say, and all our Australian viewers must excuse me, but when I hear Australia, the first thing that comes to mind is safety. It says to me you're risk averse, you're a safe kind of guy.
I am an actuary after all. Look, Australia certainly is a very safe country. Our premiums there are half of what they are in South Africa per person, just because there are so few accidents and crime incidents and those types of things. But it's a very competitive market. It's tough to go into eke out a bit of a market share there. But we're happy, and just remember, by far the biggest portion of our business still sits in South Africa, and we have no plans to change that.
As I said earlier on, the company was started by 3 entrepreneurs, and 2 have remained, yourself and Howard Aaron. Now, a journalist once described your relationship with Howard Aaron as the most incongruous relationship, and then he went on to say, here you have an Afrikaans actuary from Petersburg getting together with a Jewish IT boff from the East Rand. You wouldn't really necessarily put those two demographics together.
Yeah. Well, fate brought Howard and myself together. Howard's been a fantastic influence in my life. I've always been a bit more of an academic and so on. I never grew up thinking I would really be that interested in business. Certainly Howard, being Jewish, opened my eyes there, and I think our skills were very complementary. So that really helped in setting up the business if your skills are complementary. But personalities also need to work, and our personalities are obviously different, and we come from different backgrounds, but we do get along very well. And I think the most important thing there is we've always just made decisions in the best interests of the business. I really don't think our egos ever clashed. None of the decisions was about that, but it was about what's best for OUTsurance, and I think that's really the fundamental thing in our relationship, and I'm sure it'll stay that way.
You come from different backgrounds. He comes from ICT and you come from the state financial environment as an actuary.
Yeah.
So obviously that skill served you well in insurance, but what else did you need? What other kind of skill did you have to develop to make this partnership work?
Look, I think to make the partnership work, to run a large business or to start a new business, then to manage it in a transition of becoming a larger business and then managing a larger business, you certainly do need to develop your skills. And I just believe in learning every day. I don't take myself too seriously. I try and do things better every day compared to yesterday.
Yeah.
I try and provide leadership. I think a key aspect is to be able to attract key talent. I think OUTsurance is fortunate. We have great people working for us, and we get great CVs every day of more people wanting to join us.
Right.
And I think if you can create that environment, then you probably do well.
If your partner was sitting here with me right now and I asked him to describe you, if I said to him, describe Willem Roos to me, what do you think he'd say?
Gee whiz, that's sort of a bit difficult, I suppose, to talk about yourself. But I think hopefully Howard will characterize me as somebody with integrity, always having good intentions, doing things properly, and being excited about what we're doing. Geez, I enjoy every day. It's great fun.
That sort of feel-good, honest, salt of the earth aspect of your personality, does it have something to do with coming from Petersburg? I mean, many people would see Petersburg as rural South Africa, conservative South Africa. You wouldn't expect a business giant to come out of Petersburg.
I suppose not. I think a lot of those things come maybe from an Afrikaner upbringing, although our family is certainly not a very conservative one in the traditional sense of the word. I think I've been very fortunate. I went to a good school. My mother particularly took my education very, very seriously. She's a teacher. Okay. I went to a good university at the University of Pretoria and got good skills. And I think it's also just great growing up in South Africa with the multitude of people and interesting things always happening, and uncertainty and so forth. So I suppose those are the things that shape you.
You know, I've met you before, and I'm going to remind you where I met you. I was the MC of the World Entrepreneur Awards in 2009, where you were given this fantastic award of Entrepreneur of the Year and then sent to Monte Carlo. And I'll never forget when you came up on stage to receive your prize and, say your thank yous. You thanked the staff at OUTsurance for all the work that they'd done in setting up this company and making it work. Because you said, we're the brains, we're the strategists, but they are operational. They are the day-to-day. OUTsurance is really the staff. And then you also said, I have to acknowledge my wife, who has the hardest job in the world, raising 4 sons under the age of 10. And that was the most beautiful tribute to your wife. Do you think being a wife and mother is harder than being a CEO of a successful company?
No, she works much harder than I am, and I think the difference also is most people at OUTsurance sort of listens to me, which is different to the 4 boys. No, absolutely. I think any mom who looks after 4 boys deserves a medal. They're a busy bunch.
So tell us about that, though, being a father to 4 boys. Some people would see you as a king, 4 boys.
Yeah, no, family planning wasn't our strong point, but
but raising a male child, huh?
Yeah, I suppose the issue is balance and how much, and particularly boys, I think, do need the presence and the influence of their father. And what I try and do there is I do work hard, I do put in lots of hours, but if I do have free time, I spend it with my family. I actually go to very few events like the Ernst and Young do, or golf days, or corporate getaways, or a bosberaad, or so on. In fact, I actually don't do any of that. I don't think it's necessary to do that to be successful. So we put in the long hours at OUTsurance, but if there's any free time, then certainly try and spend that with my sons. And my wife.
Just talking about that, in South Africa, we've got a lot of social problems. But many people say a lot of the problems we have socially is because young boys are not raised correctly. Do you take those sorts of things to heart when you look at your boys? Do you think to yourself, it's incumbent in me to raise responsible, decent human beings? Or do you just take it, let their personalities flourish? How do you approach it?
I suppose one has to find a balance, because you don't want to stifle a child's personality and passion and so forth, but I might be more inclined to go for the former route. I really value things like responsibility and making a difference, and being grateful for the fortune you have, because I think fortune actually plays a very big role in your life and what you achieve. So I think you need to be grateful for that. But then again, I think my wife gives a bit of the other balance. If you have a creative child and they want to follow their dreams, I don't think you must stand in their way, as long as it's sort of in the right direction.
Who's been the greatest influence in your life?
I think there's been quite a number of people in my life. On my family side, certainly been my mom. My dad unfortunately passed away when I was very young. From a business point of view, it's been Howard and Laurie Dippenaar, our chairman, who's been OUTsurance chairman from the start. It's been a great source of advice and a great example to follow. So I would probably say those are sort of the closest personal people that
what makes them stand out for you? Great advice that they give, a good example to follow. What is the principal example when you look at Laurie Dippenaar?
Just absolute consistency with Laurie. There's no such thing as shades of grey. It's either black or white. His integrity and consistency is never emotional about business decisions and so on. And then work ethic. Goodness, the guy's work ethic is just amazing. So those would be the two things that stand out. And Howard's characteristics, they are very similar. Very similar.
Work ethic and integrity. It's the third time you've mentioned integrity, so that's really important to you. When you're not at OUTsurance and you take a little bit of time away from your family, what are you doing?
I love cycling. I'm an avid mountain biker. So what I typically do on a weekend, the poor four boys, they don't have a choice. They must come with. So they'll cycle maybe the first hour or so with me, and then I'll go off for another hour or two. I think it's great exercise, keeps you healthy, and I really love it.
So if I had to say to you mountain or sea or mountain, it would have to be the forest, the mountains.
Yeah, although I like to go on holiday in the garden route, and there the mountains are right on the sea.
Okay,
so maybe
get the best of both
But there
worlds.
has to be great mountain biking trails. That would be the prime requirement.
And finally, when you are cycling and you're in that moment alone, in the garden route, the sea roaring on one side, the splendor of nature on the other side, what's in your head?
Yeah, you're going to really not like what I'm going to say. Now, I typically cycle with my iPhone and an audiobook because I don't want to waste time. So I'd be listening to a biography, even a storybook every now and again, or a business book, and so on. But I must say, at some stage when it's particularly beautiful, or I'm thinking about something, I would realize, gee whiz, I've actually missed the last chapter. I need to rewind. I need to rewind a bit.
You've been fabulous, Willem Roos. It's wonderful to have you. I wish you and OUTsurance all the best of success as you move into new markets.
Thank you.
And I think your wife would be so proud of the homage and tribute you have paid to her here, and so to your mentor and chairman, Laurie Dippenaar, valuing integrity, valuing a work ethic, valuing family. Those are the ingredients to true success. The CEO and Joint Managing Director of OUTsurance, Willem Roos, our Captain of Industry tonight. Thanks so much for your time. Bye-bye.